Well, here we are, Castle Farms. It is now a wedding place. And see, I knew it as a kid growing up in Gaylord. This is the party area. There's so much stuff in the ground here from all the kids, all the booze and all the drugs and all the sex. You wouldn't want to touch the soil. But they're having weddings here now. Saw my first concert here was ZZ Top. Must have been 85, 86, I don't know. But the thing we do need to remember about it is that it was born in 1918. It's got a great history. They tell that part, just like when you go over Donner Pass and stop at that Donner Pass little place, rest stop, monument thing. They don't talk about how they ate each other. When they built this in 1918, they don't talk about how the guy that built it was Loeb, from Leopold and Loeb. He was the father of one of those boys that snatched his cousin off the street and killed him with his buddy. They rented a car, they had a room for some time that they got mail at so they could act like it was, the ransom note came from there. It was an awful thing. But then they stopped having concerts. And now they have weddings. So a lot of people have celebrated on these lands. I've passed out drunk right on the hill over there. My brother, my second brother, he's here. We don't talk much, but he's here. And we remembered how we were rolling down the hill here during a concert. And the bouncers grabbed us and we got up and we were wrestling, fighting, really. He used to attack me. And the bouncer grabbed us and we looked and we said, "We're brothers." Ah! And the guy said, "Oh, sorry," and he let us go. But this is Castle Farms. It's November. This place kind of has the feel of The Outlook, I believe it was called, in The Shining. Anything can happen, and you never know what it's going to be. Castle Farms. Back in the studio, and we just got back from Castle Farms. And the interesting thing, we stayed in Charlevoix overnight at a place called Charlevoix House Inn. And it was wonderful. I mean, when we drove there, we got it last minute. And we drove into Charlevoix and through the little town area. And it was, you say the place was dead. It was 10 o'clock at night. I was sober. I was responsible. And I'm driving through, and usually saying a place is dead is you see one or two cars going by. There were no cars parked on the streets. There was nobody going in the distance. It was like driving through a zombie apocalypse, waiting for them to come running out when they hear something moving. There was nobody out. But the thing is, on the way to that nice place we stayed, great place. You can walk out onto the roof. There's a window that says, "Do not open this window," and you realize it's because it's the only one that doesn't have a screen on it, which a screen is a deterrent. I looked at Victoria with all these screens on the windows. I said, I could break it off and get out, but I said, that's only if I really want to start trouble. I said, being that it's there, I'm not going to bother with it. And then I looked and I saw the sign on the one that said, "Do not open this window," and I looked, there is no screen. I said, that proves it. I opened the window and crawled out onto the roof and smoked my cigarettes and just relaxed. What a wonderful place. A man said, "That's a nice view from up there, huh?" He was walking his dog. I said, "Yeah." I said, you get a real good look at the world without anybody noticing. And he's like, and he walked off. And then a car came around the corner and I could see the guy. He had a glass pipe. He was bent over smoking his weed, thinking nobody's looking. I can see everything from here like the Batman. I'm like, there goes something. And then a cop goes by, but it was too late. He didn't catch him because he's not the Batman. He can't see it. So we stayed in Charlevoix last night, and on the way out, coming back to Gaylord this morning, or Gaylord, through Gaylord, around Gaylord, back home to the studio, I noticed across from Castle Farms, there's a street name, and I told you about them. It's called Loeb Road. Not only did they name the road after a very wealthy man who built Castle Farms in 1918, but it happens to be his ancestry, his his kid is also named Loeb, and he's the one that killed like his cousin back in about 1930, and they thought they could get away with it. It's got a terrible story to it. Look it up. And the thing is, I looked at that and I said, after all these years, they get mad calling Fort Bragg Fort Liberty. I think it sounds junky. I still call it Fort Bragg, but I can appreciate and understand why they did it. Maybe if you can forget something long enough, instead of fucking making a world around it for since the late 1800s, and keep naming something that, not letting anybody forget, just long enough that you can make a stink out of it. Yeah. Maybe by now, the people living on the street called Loeb Road should kind of think, maybe this isn't a good look for us. Maybe we shouldn't have the cousins come over anymore, because we don't know what our child will grow up to be, growing up across from Castle Farms on the name of a kin killer. Maybe it does come time to change the name of the world you're living in.